Alright, today we are on Unit 4, Day 5, Solving Equations Part 3. Our learning goal is that we will learn how to solve multi-step equations. It's very similar to what we've been doing the past few days, just a couple of new ones. So let's go ahead and take a look at the very first example here. Example 1, write the equation in words starting with a variable. Part B, solve for the variable by performing the reverse operations of Part A. So if we look at this example in A, it says 3 times z plus 5 equals 12. There are two methods that we could solve this equation here. So we have two methods. If we start with part A, write the equation in words starting with a variable, we'll do one of the methods first and then we'll look at the other one here. Okay. So let's go ahead and use what we've been doing the past few days, which we have been doing using our distributive property. So we'll go ahead and distribute the 3 into the brackets. And we have 3 times z plus 15 equals 12. So if we write this equation in words starting with the variable, I'm going to look here at z and say, what am I doing to z? So the very first thing is we're multiplying by 3. After we multiply by 3, then we are adding 15. So let's go ahead and write that in words. Multiply by 3, and then add 15. Okay, so now we're going to work in the reverse order. If we want to unwrap z here, we want to work in the reverse order that we did here. So we're going to start with adding 15. So how would I undo this 15 here? Well, we know that the opposite of addition is subtraction. So we will subtract 15 from the left side of the equation, and what we do to one side we must do to the other, so I'll subtract 15 over here as well. So minus 15 and minus 15. So we are left with 3z, and then here we have plus 15 minus 15. Well, that is 0. So this is 0, and then we're left with our equal sign, and 12 minus 15 is negative 3. So now we have taken care of this part. Our next step would be to undo this multiply by 3, right here, multiply by 3. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So let's divide both sides by 3. And we are left with 3 divided by 3, which is 1. So we have 1z, or just z, equals negative 1. So that is one way to solve this. Let's go ahead and look at the second way to solve this equation. So we have the same example, 3 times z plus 5 equals 12. If we do not use the distributive property here, we could still write the equation in words starting with variables. So if we start with z here, the first thing that we have to do to z, because it's in the brackets, is add 5. So that is the very first thing. I'll write it over here. Number 1, add 5. The second thing that we have to do here, so once we've added 5, is then multiply by 3. So the second thing, multiply by 3. And now we'll do the same thing. We'll work in the reverse order. We'll start with 2 and then undo the first one here. So I'll start with my equation here. We have 3 times z plus 5 equals 12. And we'll start with number 2 here. The opposite of multiplying by 3, here we are multiplying by 3, is to divide by 3. So let's divide both sides of the equation by 3. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So here we have 3 times z plus 5 divided by 3. Well, these 3's will divide out. So these 3 divided by 3 is just 1, and we're left with z plus 5. We have our equal sign, And then 12 divided by 3 is just 4. So equals 4. Now we have taken care of this part. Now let's look at the last part, which is adding 5. So here we are adding 5. The opposite to adding 5 is subtracting 5. So let's subtract 5 from both sides of the equal sign. And we are left with z. Here, plus 5 minus 5, that's 0. So I'll make a big Z for 0. Then we have our equal sign. And 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So you get the same solution either way. Both methods are correct. So whatever you've decided to do for this example is just fine.